And here we are, we're going to be on Watch Point Gibraltar in the first of a best of three that determines who is going to be getting their ticket to Atlanta. The stakes are quite literally the highest they could possibly be here as REUNITED take on the Ninjas in Pajamas.
And NIP right now, we're talking a little bit before the map here. We'll see if they decide to run the triple support, triple tank comp and what issues it might have on one of the most vertical maps here in the game, at least until Eichenwald makes its appearance in any case. But Gibraltar, will it be effective? Now, just to expand a little bit on the pregame stuff, the reason why the triple support has more troubles here on Gibraltar, you think about just heroes like Ana. She's not known for great mobility and getting around. It's why it has trouble, but taking a look, NIP, they are not going to be deterred. They are going to be running the triple support, triple tank, and we'll see if REUNITED has the answer.
All right, so these maps could end up being a little bit weaker for the composition that has been rehearsed from Ninjas in Pajamas, but they're going to be running it anyway. This will actually be a really good litmus test for how well it works, especially against a top team like REUNITED, who are obviously coming into this with one eye on making sure that this kind of preparation by NIP doesn't get them anywhere. Unfixed on Junkrat as well, especially under this arch. We'll see how much damage he can do initially.
This is where they're going for just wide-scale damage and knowing that they're going to be feeding the Zarya as a result, but they're okay with that trade-off. Kib, not on the Genji, is going to be Reaper just because it is more damage against these tanks. We'll see how things work out here. Unfixed spam actually takes out Seda very early on in this fight, so that is going to take the wind out of the sails of NIP while they wait for the Lucio to get back.
They need to be careful to not get these, to just not have their supports fall down early in the fight. One of the biggest benefits of having the triple support, triple tank is that your stamina and your longevity in these fights is huge because your tanks are able to absorb so much damage. So as soon as you get a support kicked off, you really fear. And here comes Unfixed, actually with that concussive grenade to try and split them apart as REUNITED are looking for ways in.
REUNITED, right now, they're going to be coming into flanking Reptile, going to go right to the back here. Actually going for Himsy, tries to take him out. Himsy lives, though, had already picked off Cruz. Himsy getting deep into the REUNITED lines. Fraggy moving forward, and right now, the triple tank setup, despite the height setup here on Gibraltar, working out. Mafu going to get to the back, takes 2 more kills, and it's going to be NIP getting a lightning fast attack, getting into the hangar.
Oh man, and that was a pretty quick as well because we had a double kill to start things off there from Himsy too. So at the moment, things are working out well for them after that initial little bit of a hiccup on Seda, not letting that dissuade them at all as REUNITED now need to scramble to get set up in the hangar phase.
Alrighty, well, REUNITED, this is where teams can really reestablish their defense. They're working at an ult disadvantage. Mafu has Graviton at the ready, so NIP can rip this match wide open if Mafu lands the right attack. Here comes Valtaja, Deadeye out, has to pull it out, or pull it back immediately. Almost gets hooked by Himsy. Himsy, though, backs out. So both teams starting off. Here comes the Nano Boost, though. NIP looking to keep momentum. They run into the Transcendence, so very chaotic fight. Fraggy finds Valtaja. Earthshatter down. Here comes the Death Blossom. Kib, though, immediately dies. It's back and forth, but it is looking like REUNITED is going to reestablish.
That was a lot to invest in picking up Valutaja early in that fight. You had the Nano Boost and the Earth Shatter in order to take him out. I mean, he is, to be fair, a very, very key player for them, but you have to think about what are our ultimates going to look like in the next fight, right?
Ultimate's going to the next fight right now. Lucio is going to have sound barrier for NIP, but REUNITED has definitely reestablished on the ult game right now. They will have a sound barrier of their own. Unfixed is going to be looking for an early pulse bomb swap off here, and take a look. NIP, they're already moving with the payload. Unfixed is weighing the flank right in. This is going to go down here in just a moment. Winston actually going in right now for REUNITED. They're going to take the initiative. Sound barrier is down. Sound barrier is out for NIP as well. Both teams throwing their ult at each other, and REUNITED looking like they are going to win this ult showdown.
Oh, Valutaja was hunting, and he was able to get one. Now picking up a second as well, so he picks off Himsy from high above, and Winghaven will be able to contribute to. Unfixed, though, let's not just look at the kill feed here because he has been doing so much sustained damage that he's basically been able to take everyone else to a point where they can get picked off like that. So a really good supporting performance from the Tracer in that team fight.
All right, well, Zappas is going to have Nano Boost up here for the next fight. Might be going Himsy, might be going on Reinhardt. But it's not the worst case scenario for NIP here. They will have a good support ult against none on REUNITED, though, as I say, that Transcendence is coming up, and Cruz takes out Kinnor early on, so 6v5, REUNITED looking good for this fight.
REUNITED now pushing on in. Transcendence is about to complete. Here comes the Earthshatters. Fraggy tries to move in. NIP are looking to try and clean this up, but Kinnell getting very low and getting taken down initially, meaning they're going to be without one support. Now we have Winghaven coming in basically from a flag, and Kib getting the triple in the middle of all of that and picking up a fourth as well. NIP get completely reset.
Well, the problem there for NIP is that NIP started investing ults into a fight where they were already down one person to begin with. So anytime you lose someone that quickly in a fight, I mean, you can go, okay, we're going to invest ults and maybe we think of an opportunity here, but it wasn't really a thing, and as a result, it's sort of wasted. Now they have ults gone, and REUNITED is going to have more in their deck going into the next fight. Winghaven will be able to primal rage in the back, really disrupt things, and NIP definitely having a lot of trouble getting the picks they're looking for in the hangar phase.
They invested an awful lot in that previous fight. Balutaja now coming out looking for a couple of kills again. He's not going to need them though, as Kip once again on the board. He's actually had a standout performance as Reaper this time around, picking up another double. And I have to say, every time these engagements happen, Winghaven seems to be able to come in just 1 or 2 seconds later and really disrupt the backlines of NIP using Winston. And that basically is another reason why the triple support, you just have to be so careful of plays like that.
Right, and you take a look at NIP right now for what they're doing. They're not switching things up too much, but Himsy is going off of Roadhog on the Reaper, so it is a small swap up here. They're still keeping the triple support. Himsy going to the back line, and REUNITED right now, they're giving a lot of space to NIP. They're letting NIP rush through, and REUNITED's going to go in. Soundbearer's out. Here they go on the way. They get no immediate kills, though, off the Soundbearer, so questionable as to how this is setting up, and Mapu should be able to counter this with the Graviton here in just a moment.
Oh, and here is the Graviton. We're moving in. Himsy grabbing an early kill, and Winghaven once again from the back trying to stem the flow, but Mapu comes up with a double as well. REUNITED fighting to stay in this. Unfixed continuing to do a lot of damage, but NIP have the momentum here.
NIP has the momentum, and that really came down to REUNITED. Just they used Soundbearer, and then they got absolutely nothing of it right away. Usually when you use Soundbearer when you're right on top of a team, they used it just way too early in that fight. They got 0 from it, and as a result, NIP is going to get through this hangar phase here in just a moment. And time-wise, it's not super swift, but it's still decent.
Transcendence popping out now to try and push the last couple of meters here. And Himsy looking for a couple of kills from the backline. Won't be able to find out while Zenyatta is on the way. Fraggy, though, is going to help clean up into the beginning here. And he's actually... Reaper, no! Kib won't be able to do it this time around. That was a Death Blossom on top of the payload as well.
It's pretty good for REUNITED to be able to get back here and contest this, but unfortunately the positioning going in was not going to be great. Everyone just had to rush onto a point because NIP almost had it there. And in the end, they were able to get through. 3.5 minutes remaining to bring to last, so big opportunities here for NIP. And again, you take a look at their composition. They're still holding on here with the triple support. Does not seem like Zappos is interested in switching.
That was a situation actually where, with the exception of Unfixed, REUNITED actually used all of their ultimate to try and scramble back and see if they can do that. And the reason they do that is because it's a little bit of a risk, but if you're able to push NIP back into the hangar phase again, they could stall for 2 or 3 more team fights, but it didn't work for them in that situation. Balutaja getting the first kill now, and Seda being the first to die. It's going to make NIP question the next team fight. This is going to be very difficult for them. Pulse Bomb gets Mafu, and Unfixed now is on a rampage.
Unfixed moving to the back line off of that first pick, looking for a little bit more, is going to go back. But here's the key for REUNITED, where your higher end teams usually don't make mistakes, is that some teams would actually chase all the way into the hangar area. REUNITED, they got the picks they want to and just backed right out.
I mean, sometimes that can pay off, but like you say, it's not like the payload's going back into the hangar, right? It's worth taking that risk if they might not reach the second point in the first place, but now that the payload, of course, is en route to last, there is no point to do that, or at least they're able to save. And here we go, Balutaja getting the first pick off. And again, it's going to be one of the supports from NIP going down first. Fraggy picking up a double as well. Even with Discord Orb on him, he is rushing on through. And this is looking difficult for NIP, but they did manage to get those picks.
Kib got 2 kills to begin with, though, does have Death Blossom. Has to be aware of the Roadhog. Roadhog could just end him right now. He has to back out a little bit. Himsy, of course, switching back onto that Roadhog after hangar phase, where he's still able to get decent pickoffs. But you take a look at Kib, he is going to set himself up here for a Death Blossom flank. So NIP has to be careful. If he drops in before the sound barrier, he can stop the push all on his own.
I mean, it has to be said at some point, Himsy is just not landing the same hooks he did in the previous series. So we'll see if he can improve that on this perform. Never mind, he gets Balutaja in the face, but the support ultimates keeping REUNITED alive, both sides. And now we have Cruz with the sound barrier, Transcendence coming out for NIP, and that's a huge Graviton surge. Can they make something of it? They're forcing the Transcendence out of Mort, but the kills, they're starting to rack up.
3 kills here for NIP. They are looking for the last little bit of cleanup. Unfixed looking to be heroic right now. Does move to the back, is laying a lot of damage, but all his friends are dead right now. Unfixed versus the world. Himsy will finish him off. And here comes NIP. They don't have a whole lot of time left here. 1:22 left on the map. REUNITED are going to use the respawns to get right back in. Defending teams do respawn quite a bit quicker in this patch. Himsy, though, is getting the cleanup, picks up 2 more kills, and once more Unfixed on the Tracer, rolling around on the point. not able to get the pickoffs he's looking for. Just too many tanky targets to go after. That's a lot of health. It's a lot of healing. Earthshower comes in for frag, and that should be the finishing blow here.
And that was off the back. That was off the back of a nano boost as well. I mean, when you have to rush onto a single target and there's a nano boosted right-hand side right on top of it, you do have to think twice there. NIP will successfully complete on Watch Point Gibraltar, and now all eyes are on REUNITED. Can they set a faster time? Credit to NIP. We were talking about the 3-tank composition. They did switch off of it for a little bit, but for the most part, they tried to make that work.
Yeah, they did try and make it work, although clearly it does have its weaknesses here, where they did look lost on the hangar phase in particular, where finally they just put Himsy onto the Reaper.
Yeah.
And that sort of goes with what we were talking about pre-match, where, okay, extreme verticality, harder to get the picks you're looking for and all the rest, but as soon as they got through the hangar phase, Himsy went right back onto the Roadhog. The problem that I think I see with this triple tank, triple support comp in a lot of cases is that it's not as prone to keeping your momentum quite as well as standard DPS setups. And even though they're making somewhat consistent progress overall, that wasn't particularly swift. Whereas REUNITED, I expect them to come in with a much more traditional, much more lightning fast attack.
Well, now we have a situation where we have the triple tank on defense for Ninjas in Pajamas. Now, this is particularly interesting because we were talking about this before the start of the match as well. And we were saying on defense here, there are a couple of more spots where Himsy can actually be a little bit clever with the hook on first, in the shuttle, and more importantly on last. When you're attacking, it's a little bit more flat. When you're defending, there are more nooks and crannies to hide in. So I wonder if NIP are going to be able to make this work a little bit better.
Yeah, NIP on defense, I mean, we'll see how it works. I mean, the one problem with how this is set up is that they're not super mobile and getting away from things if REUNITED has a good engage. I mean, again, you take a look at what they're running here. McCree is really good long-range pickoffs. They are running the Tracer that can go in and clean up people as they go away. REUNITED is going to be very good at punishing NIP at any point where they are out of position. So for NIP, just one bad engagement here could really lead to them losing pre-hangar, and who knows if they'll even be able to establish in hangar. So that's sort of REUNITED's strength.
Yeah, the momentum is going to be very important for Ninjas in Pajamas. Like you said, ZT, they need to be careful if they can't actually run away from a fight. Of course, they shouldn't need to run away with the triple tank. That's part of the idea of getting so many hit points in this composition. But we'll see if the pickoffs end up being on the supports like they were for a portion of the last map. REUNITED coming in, trying to take the high ground very early on, and NIP immediately moving back to server room.
And this is pretty standard for Gibraltar. No one wants to actually try and defend the first point. In fact, that first point I think is getting removed from the patch because of how irrelevant it is. So teams defending the server room, it's all about defending right on the hangar door. Gib right now laying and poke to start things out, and NIP already getting bullied a lot by REUNITED. REUNITED has superior mobility with the heroes that they've chosen here, and for now it's working out.
The mobility is an advantage as long as you're able to be everywhere at once. REUNITED now basically need to hit NIP from 3 or 4 different angles and really make them question where the team fight is coming from. NIP's dream would be to engage in a very solid 6-on-6 team fight and just come out fighting. That's exactly what they're going to try and do now. Nano boosted Reinhardt coming on in. Marfu getting the first kill, to be fair. Valutaja getting put to sleep there, and Zappis able to use that ability to excellent effect on Ana.
Yep, the rush in there from REUNITED just not super effective. NIP was able to spread out as they went in. They got an early pickoff from Himsy. Valtage, of course, went for the Deadeye, was slept in the progress, so not quite what they were looking for there. REUNITED, of course, they do have a lot of time to work with, and ult-wise, they will have ult coming up soon. The one problem that they have, of course, is that Seda will have Sound Barrier up soon and for the next fight. And they also have a Transcend, so I think REUNITED is going to have a productive wipe here where they try and drain both support ults and then come in for the kill.
Unfixed just saw Himsy and then went straight back behind the crate. He was like, hang on a second, I vaguely remember this. And he's going to be very careful there. Credit to Honor as well. If you don't catch the target with the sleep, I mean, at the end of the day, that's really high risk, high reward because you can't really run.
Yep, and here we go. Next fight is underway. Valtaja moving in, and he's going to get hooked right down by Himsy to start things off. Himsy with the bang. Nano boost is out. Fraggy just rolling forward. WMS1. NIP, though, not picking up the kills they want from that. It was sort of swinging wildly. Earthshower does come down, though, knocks down 2. And despite REUNITED struggling a little bit, it will be NIP winning this next game.
Yeah, needing the extra ultimate maybe in the form of Earthshatter. Fraggy did a good job at least of zoning out with Zenyatta because you saw Transcendence pop out straight out of that. So it makes it really difficult to get those picks off. But what you saw is REUNITED more or less spreading out. They're getting kind of clumped into the corner, and NIP love those enclosed spaces when they have so many hit points to play with.
Yeah, NIP, I mean, they clearly are staying in the server room, but they're also careful not to really stand there when the fight begins because even with a lot of tank HP, you don't want to just be all clumped in there. That's a terrible idea, regardless of what you're running with. So either way, NIP right now is on the payload. And they're holding REUNITED back. REUNITED definitely having some trouble getting through here. They will have Soundbearer though, so that last fight was the productive wipe that we were sort of talking about going in. And REUNITED, they're pushing NIP back a little bit here. And once they feel the opportunity, they're just going to go Soundbearer in and use the support ultimates to their advantage.
Well, they were looking for the flank, but Himsy got Valutaja very early on in that engagement, and here comes Winghaven. Maybe not the target he was looking for, but Himsy trying to start the engagement off on the left flank. REUNITED now basically up above on 2 or 3 different angles, trying to disrupt, and Himsy now moving on behind. We need to find those kills, ideally those pickups on those DPS heroes very early on. Here comes the sound barrier you were talking about, and let's see if REUNITED can push through.
Well, REUNITED, they get 2 quick kills off of that right away. It enables Winghaven to go deep in. Mafu trying to do anything with his own WMS1 is immediately taken out. Kim and Valutaja, the Bash brothers, are going to finish out the backline, and REUNITED will enter the hangar phase here. And again, they have 5 minutes and 20 seconds left, so they still have plenty of time. The key for them here, though, is going to be able to take better positioning here in the hangar. NIP is coming right back, but REUNITED can really contest them in just a moment.
NIP actually getting back in time to be able to move on to the first floor there. They're not on top of the shuttle just yet. REUNITED now filtering in. Reinhardt's shield getting very low, so they have to decide what they're going to be doing with that shortly. Fraggy sending a fire strike straight into the payload there. And both teams just sort of poking at each other right now. But crucially, while this is happening, REUNITED are continuing to push the payload. That's going to be prompting the collapse from NIP. We need to see the well, we have actually got the Transcendence, so it's getting forced out now as the teams engage, and they're getting spread out. Graviton Surge pulls them all back together again, and that's a triple to start things off. REUNITED are going to be able to push through.
NIP was a little bit over aggro on that drop down. They did not have an early pickoff or anything that was really great to rush in the way they did. I mean, support ultimate wise, they didn't have Transcendence or Soundbearer either. It was really just too much. They ran into a defensive Transcendence by the way of REUNITED in the sense that they were supporting their attack. And REUNITED now is in a great position to move forward and take this next fight. And here we go. NIP is setting up. They're going to be moving right in. Here comes Kim over the top. Death Blossom at the ready. Forces out the Transcendence immediately. It's going to cause everyone from NIP to fall right into REUNITED. And REUNITED in a great position to finish this out.
We'll see if that can happen, though, because Kib, initially, he's a little bit out of the fight right now, and that allows NIP to at least concentrate their fire a little bit. Mafu and Fraggy getting a couple between them, and Zap is coming into his own now on McCree. Valutaja trying to single him out. He can't do it, and NIP successfully hold there in the hangar phase.
The big difference there is that compared to other fights, of course, you now have Zappis on the McCree, and Zappis was able to get better cleanup there than REUNITED was expecting. Don't think they thought that was going to be a thing going into that fight, and even though they forced all them down, they did get picked off in no small part due to Zappis' poke, and that's why that didn't work out well. So for REUNITED, let's talk about stakes here. 3 minutes, 20 seconds remaining. They can lose this fight and it's okay, but after that, they pretty much can't lose fights from here on out. Time starting to be a factor here.
NIP absolutely bringing the game to REUNITED, and when you actually get put into the hangar phase like this, you can end up with multiple situations where you get held. Valutaja not able to get the damage he needed on the pulse bomb, but Kib is going to be able to come in again over the top and try and pick a few of those off. He's looking for a second, he won't get it, but it doesn't matter. The rest of the team are collapsing on top of them, and NIP now, with that heroic defense, is going to turn the tables, and REUNITED will be able to get in.
Yeah, and here's the problem for NIP going forward into this next setup is that NIP is now playing a more standard game, and frankly, REUNITED is much better at playing standard than NIP is. NIP's niche is their sort of one-trick pony, triple support, triple tank comp. Now that they're playing more standard, REUNITED definitely just has an edge because they play these fights much more than NIP does. NIP going to the next fight, Himsy does have a Death Blossom up. They do have Graviton, so based on ults, they have an ult advantage and they should be able to take this. And yet, REUNITED, they're going to have enough up now in just the last second where they might be able to fend it off. If they win the ult showdown, they're very likely to win this game.
4 plays 4 here as we now move in. Graviton Surge coming on. In fact, both sides have a Graviton Surge. Pulse Bomb once again, not able to find the targets from Valutaja, and there are still ults available from NIP. Here comes Himsy, and he's going to be able to get a double, make that a triple, and that does mean that REUNITED will be losing this fight. Crucially, Mafu saving his Graviton Surge for use on a rainy day.
Well, the key there, that wasn't just Himsy, it was Fraggy came in, landed a great Earth Shatter, and set up Himsy to just roll right through, get 3 kills, and set it up. Now, here's the thing, though. REUNITED, that was a productive wipe. You look at NIP, they wasted, or not wasted, but they had to use much of their ults there. They do have a Graviton, that's about it. REUNITED's going to be able to roll right in with Transcendence, Death Blossom. Transcendence is going to mitigate the effects of this Graviton, and they've lost no one to it just yet. They're going to be rolling right back out, but Himsy's still getting clean towards the end. Got a good flick shot on the Valutaja to take him out. It's 4v4. Himsy, though, needs to be careful not to overdive. REUNITED is going to reinforce this. a little bit sooner, and if NIP does not back out, it might turn to trouble.
The amount of sustained damage that Himsy has been doing has basically earned him another Death Blossom, by the way. So he's doing a phenomenal job basically coming in and trying his best to reset that as quickly as possible. Kib, though, in the meantime, also has his available, and he might choose to move on to the high ground and look for the collapse. That's exactly what he's doing.
Here comes Kib. He's going right in, looking for the Death Blossom, gets that back line, takes out one support, ends up dying in the end, but the damage has been done. Volataja getting the cleanup, has the double kill. Reunited on the prowl. Volataja leading the way, and with 50 seconds left, Reunited in great position to end this game. Will it happen? And it will. They're going to take map number 1, and they are just one map away from going to Atlanta.
Oh, and that was a fantastic series that we saw. Both sides of the map there, absolutely great from Reunited to take that in the end. And, you know, it comes down, like you always say, within 1 minute of each other. That's basically a team fight going either way, or a little bit more ult build as a result of that. There isn't that much difference in terms of momentum between these teams right now.
Well, I mean, I think there's a really big momentum shift, in fact, where, for whatever reason, you saw the shift to a more standard team comp coming out late in the game from the side of NIP. And once I saw that, it sort of felt like the death knell for Reunited here, because frankly, Reunited is much better at than the normal team comes. Like, okay, we're gonna fight you guys for the last 3 minutes, mano a mano, normal setups. Well, NIP, all data suggests that you've been spending a lot of time on your alternate team comps. You're not going to be as good in that situation.
That's actually worth talking about in a little bit more detail, because it feels like they managed to take the game on a few occasions when they were attacking with that triple support, triple tank team comp. And we were talking about how there might have been more places for Himsy to play with on defense as well. What's the catalyst behind that kind of change from NIP? Because they weren't doing that badly, and they were able to contest for a while. So what do you think was the thought process behind that?
I just thought they weren't being as effective as they wanted there, because overall Reunited was still setting a very good time. So they figured, okay, where our normal bread and butter isn't working right now, we're going to switch to this, maybe catch them off guard. And they did catch them off guard for one fight. Unfortunately for them, again, like I said, every fight after that first sort of catching them off guard fight, they maybe had one extra fight that they won, but Reunited looked much more in control because, again, Reunited is used to playing standard v standard. And NIP, unfortunately, they've dedicated so much practice time to this off comp. It's great when it catches teams like Bringo's off guard, but if you feel forced in the corner where you have to play standard against a team like Reunited, I just feel like it's not a great situation for them to be in.
So now, does standard go out the window? Because we are on Hanamura. We will not, in fact, we've only seen this map once in the entirety of the playoffs so far. Reunited in the past may be known for a little bit of, well, actually, they're okay on these off maps as well. Do you think this change necessarily favors Reunited, or do you think NIP might be able to pull out something funky?
Reunited, I mean, they've played more off maps than probably any other team in the game in high-end tournament situations. It was a long-running joke for months and months where anytime you'd get a control map in comp period, an assault map, it would be Reunited that was playing it. So Reunited, no strangers to Hanamura, definitely think they have an edge going in here. And NIP, they are back to their tried and true 3 support, 3 tank. I don't expect them to swap it off too much, especially given what happened towards the end of Gibraltar.
Winghaven currently asleep, getting dragged through the door. There is Zarya bubbled, so manages to get back and defend in time. Nicely saved there, but now we have NIP collapsing in, trying to bring the fight to Reunited. They need to be able to get through the choke point so they can actually have this fight. They don't want to be trapped in one place where the DPS is for Reunited can rain havoc.
Well, that is an incredibly quick earth shot coming out from Fraggy, going to clean up this fight right away. Not pretty rare to see Reinhardt get an earth shatter on the very first fight. Fraggy landed a very good fire strike and some good left clicks to set that up. So that's going to be NIP taking the first fight. They'll have Nano Boost going to the next, and Reunited certainly at a disadvantage for push number 2. But for Reunited, of course, you look at their ults, they're probably okay for that. So long as they start draining NIP a bit and get ults up by push number 3 or 4, they are going to be in a much better position to actually take point A.
NIP looking to continue building, well, as much ult advantage as they can here, but like you say, it's not like it's super momentum, instantly take point A and grab into point B. Nano boosted Reinhardt now popping out of the door to try and pick something off. Himsy will be able to get the first one though, and that's very crucial because Volataja has just been so effective at flanking.
Himsy, this is the problem anytime you go in against a Roadhog defense, is that especially as a flanker, you can get hit by a gigantic hook and end up dying. But here comes the fix, able to take out Himsy right away. Himsy, the problem is dead. 2, now 3 kills for Reunited. They're able to dominate this room. They're going to move forward, and even if they die here, they're going to reinforce so much quicker that Reunited very likely on the path to taking point A now.
Now we're moving in. Kib immediately onto the point itself, telegraphing his intent, but it doesn't even matter because it's the lone Lucio now running on in. Sato will go to rejoin teammates at spawn. NIP are going to fight here for a little bit, but with Discord, Orb Kinnell was never going to be lasting too long, and we are now looking at an objective B hold if they can.
Well, Objective A is about to be taken here by the side of REUNITED, and they have a lot of ultimates to go into point B, so this is going to be rough for NIP. Their best hope here is Mafu lands a really good Graviton and goes from there, but REUNITED, they're going to be able to move in with speed. They're going to come in with the Sound Barrier. Kib's going to look to get to back, and they have a Graviton of their own, so REUNITED, this is their best window to set a lightning-fast time here. We'll see what happens as they move in.
The stakes are pretty high. They've got 2 ultimates on the side of the defense there. Mafu with a Graviton Surge could make something happen. We have a big team fight, and here we go. Coming in on the first floor now. Transcendence getting popped immediately for REUNITED as they aim to deal with this threat. Winghaven is trying his best to slam them down, and that is a huge number of kills, specifically going in REUNITED's direction. Himsy with the Soul Constellation.
That is going to be REUNITED using their ult advantage to their advantage. They're going to be grabbing point B right now, and that, like I said, that was their window. NIP tried the rush back on the end, too little, too late. 6 minutes left in the time bank. Very good start here for REUNITED.
It's all about the momentum between point A and point B. Often when you see teams, although it wasn't in this case, one and done, point A, on Hanamura or any of these control maps, you have to get to a place where you can attack objective B very quickly, maybe stagger your ultimates, use them really effectively, and that's what REUNITED did there.
One big problem with NIP's team comp, just something you can see as these fights go on, is that they do have pick power and Himsy, but other than that, they don't have a whole lot of people on their team that can be explosive and win fights for them early on. Now, let's, for example, we have Zappos on the Ana right now. What if Zappos was on a McCree? If Zappos is on a McCree, there's more points where on defense, on attack, whatever it may be, where you're shooting, doing normal poke, you maybe land 2 headshots and take someone out early. NIP, they have to win fights on a much more traditional level. They don't have sort of just, if there's such a thing as a crit in the idea of just like a randomly getting a big pick off right away. They don't really have that burst power, and it's difficult for them to win fights when they are at an ult disadvantage as a result. You end up relying a little bit more on getting those 1 or 2 picks off before you actually start the fight. But again, without those DPS players there, it becomes a little bit more difficult for you to do that. So you're almost relying on REUNITED coming in and saying, hey, can we pick off Valutaja early on? Can we maybe get a Kib that was trying to flank? And you can't always rely on that. Well, the other thing that you're seeing, too, is that REUNITED is also just going in on Himsy pretty quickly. And if you take out Himsy, you don't really have to worry about anyone else on the NIP squad bursting any one of your players down. So that's certainly a problem. And we'll see how things work out here for REUNITED. They're setting up on defense. Kib in a cool spot.
Yeah,
we'll
exactly right. I mean, that almost looks like a... sort of like, you know when you go rock climbing, there's the tiniest ledge. I feel like he should be balancing on 1 foot maybe with that animation there. So we'll see if he can drop down on top of the door and get a couple of kills as NIP now look to try and better REUNITED. It's going to be pretty difficult, but if they can get the momentum to swing on their way and get a quick cap on point A, it's definitely possible. This is, after all, for a trip to Atlanta.
It is, and a lot is, again, depending here on Himsy. Himsy, he is the core pick power for NIP. Kib is going to roll down in a moment. He is going to focus down Himsy when he gets a chance. And down goes the first tank. Fraggy just going a little bit too far up, and with their shield tank gone, there's no one to protect Roadhog, and really, this is where NIP is losing a lot of valuable time.
Oh, that was so close to being so good. Managing to spot Kib up there and not quite getting the hook back in. Manages to get the connect. That was a little bit unfortunate for Himsy.
There is a god. That's all I'm going to say about that. Like, that is the only... There is justice in this world that hook did not pull him down
because you could see the glow from the teleport. That was actually really good from Himsy there, but now we're moving into the next fight. Himsy once again getting a pick off on the support hero. So critical for them to come in and push through, and now they are moving in towards point A. 3 kills in a row, and I believe this could end up being faster than REUNITED took this.
It's pretty close between the two teams. It might be a little bit quicker. They are going to take this. However, the setup that NIP is running is going to run into some real problems going into point B. Not only that, but I take a look at their ultimates. They have nothing that they can run like REUNITED did, where they can easily just speed boost in. Unfix is going to be able to stop them in their tracks with some of this May play if he stays on it. So REUNITED, I mean, they lose point A, but they can definitely buy more than a minute and a half here if they play their cards right and still be ahead on the time bank game.
Well, let's see. They're now moving in. The engagement is beginning. We're still patiently waiting in the corner. Unfixed on May. All eyes on him. Winghaven absorbing a hook to the shield. NIP know exactly where they are, of course, but they need that. Look, there's no big DPS flank like you see here. The McCree isn't there. The Tracer isn't there. You just need to get into a position where you can get that team fight head on.
All right, well, NIP right now, they're rolling right along into the point. They're challenging Reunited to come in on them. Voltage here with the Deadeye, going to take the dirt nap, though. A big Earth Shatter knocks down 2. NIP finds positioning advantage they're looking for. Will they be able to get the little bit extra here? If they will, but Fraggy only gets 1 kill, and NIP still fighting back and forth here. Reunited's forced onto the outskirts. They're still alive, and Earth Shatter knocks down 3 for the side of Reunited. Here comes the Death Blossom as Kib puts up 3, make it 4.
And that is absolutely critical for Reunited. I feel like they were so close to losing that team fight as well. One thing that happened in the middle there was Unfixed managed to put a Blizzard down on the point in the middle of the team fight. NIP ended up scattering a little bit, and this was after they got the first few picks off on Reunited as well. So I feel like a big part of setting that up for Kib really came from Unfixed, and you were talking about that earlier on, how May could end up being pivotal.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of Unfixed, but also Winghaven. The Earth Shatter set a lot of it up, where even though it wasn't right after the Earth Shatter and they could move, they were still stuck there for a while, and Kib looked at the situation and says, okay, this actually looks pretty good to go into. Yeah. Otherwise, though, NIP does have a lot of ultimates up. They're going to open up with nano-boosted Reinhardt in the Graviton. Graviton did not grab what they were looking for at all. Somewhat of a whiff there, and no one has died yet from Reunited. Reunited doing a really good job of staying alive and pushing back. Unfixed, though, has died. Winghaven has died, and NIP might be winning this fight yet.
Oh, and Fraggy managing to stay alive. Oh, and hang on a second, that was a pretty decent Earth Shatter there as we get the supports managing to pick one, but maybe not the other, as Zenyatta very quickly goes back into spawn. And now, wow, I mean, this is not going to be Reunited's time. They're already about 30 seconds adrift of it, but there is the possibility here of them closing out. But here comes Reunited back from the spawn room. They have no intention of letting this happen.
Winghaven just got a great triple Earth Shatter. Did not lead to 3 kills, but certainly kept NIP back. And Reunited does not have this at all. Voltage is in, Morte is in.
Oh, wow.
Reunited starting to turn this in their favor as Kib in the backline. Tracer feasting. Zarya going to go down, and that is going to be Reunited holding on to this point for a bit longer. They've lost 2/3 of a cap here, but time starting to slip away from NIP.
That is twice now we've seen NIP almost able to cap the point, but Reunited, they don't trickle and then just die one by one. They're very good at being coordinated right out of the gate, getting those picks off, weakening NIP, and that's always so difficult with these kind of compositions. If the supports go quickly, it's going to be trouble, and that's why Himsy here, he needs to make a big play potentially on the Reaper.
Well, here comes NIP once more. MZ, of course, is on the Reaper, no longer on Roadhog. Soundbearer is out, though, from Reunited. They're going to challenge Rush with Rush. Moving right in, Kib on the double kill, looking for more. No one is on him right now, and the rest of Reunited just gonna roll right in and take out NIP once more as 420 remains on their time bank.
This is very difficult for NIP right now. I mean, they were in a position where they could have actually beaten Reunited's time, but ever since they got to that point being lost the first team fight, it feels like all momentum has been with Reunited. Like you say, ZP, they're busy trying to figure out the composition, and maybe they don't play against this on Hanamura a lot, totally understandable, but they were able to adapt to it very quickly, and Himsy switching up hasn't yet been able to make the difference.
Himsy's going to be looking for a big Death Blossom just on the point here, but a Pulse Bomb comes out from Kib. Does not get what he's looking for right away. In fact, gets dunked by Himsy's Hellfire Shotgun. It's a 65 opportunity. They're going to move in. Transcendence Death Blossom will be the name of the game here, but take a look at the defense. They do have a Blizzard. They do have an Earth Shatter. Winghaven won the watch here because he can stop this push right away if the Earth Shatter is on point.
Transcendence popping out now, and there goes the Blizzard right on top of the point, trying to stop NIP in their tracks now. Unfixed doing everything he can to delay. Mort, though, getting a kill alongside Winghaven, and the unfortunate truth, really, is that they haven't been able to break through. There have been too many disruptions. Unfixed doing a fantastic job, but also taking a look at Kib. He got picked off first, and the reason they're looking for him is because he's been able to take the team apart on previous occasions. Where do you look right now?
Right now for NIP, I mean, the problem is that their lack of versatility is really hurting them. They've sort of locked themselves in the running a certain comp, and now they're swapping off here. You have Himsy on Reaper, Zappis on McCree, where again, McCree is great at creating his own opportunities, getting an early pick without committing ults. So they're going to more standard here with 2 minutes and 45 seconds left, but this is still a problem for them because Reunited's really good against playing against standard.
Right, and like you said on Watchpoint Gibraltar, when Reunited get to a point where they can force Ninjas in Pajamas to play standard like this, that plays into Reunited's hands. They've played more with it, they're simply better at it. So Ninjas in Pajamas now, maybe, I mean, they're adapting, but are they adapting into something they can win?
We'll just have to see. Diva Bomb does come out here from the side of Reunited. We'll zone things out. Soundbearer out from NIP. This is one of their last windows to do anything right now. Himsy looking for an opportunity. Death Blossom doesn't have it. Winghaven though threads a needle. Earthshatter sets up Kib for the double kill. Himsy did Death Blossom in the back, but it might not be enough.
Yeah, Himsy was waiting for that big Death Blossom, but it ended up almost being a solo effort at that point. And Reunited right now are absolutely on fire. There's a minute 56 left for NIP to try and cap this, and Reunited still have 6:09 on their time bank.
Well, let's frame the scenario for people watching at home here. If Reunited is able to hold for a minute 45, they will be booking their ticket to Atlanta. NIP, their backs are truly against the wall right now. If this next push does not work, they will be on their last push, so time quickly not being on NIP's side.
This is all or nothing now for NIP. They need to take this to it. I mean, even if they're able to cap the point here, that only means they have to better Reunited the next time around as well. And Reunited, oh, Valutaja coming in, trying to get an early pick. Won't be able to do so, but really he just needs to buy time at this point. If Reunited don't win now, they might have an easier time winning later when there just isn't enough time. Here comes Unfix. That's actually a really good position to be in for Winston, forcing the Transcendence at NIP, collapsing on the point. Now there's a Graviton Surge and another Transcendence from Reunited to keep them alive as well. And this could actually be a cap, but it's going to have to be so good from NIP because the first two are down.
Well, NIP did get 2 early picks here, but those 2 people have respawned. Valtage back in the fight. Zappas being the regulator, though, in the back. This is something they were lacking for a while because they didn't have a McCree. He is under herself, though. Will get taken out by Kib. Kib able to get to the back line. Down goes Himsy. Death Blossom not going to be effective.
Oh, no.
And despite that fight starting out with 2 quick kills from NIP, they were a little bit sluggish in actually going onto the point and actually snowballing their advantage. Because they didn't snowball their advantage, now they're stuck here with what is truly their final attack.
30.
If this does not work, that is it. 25 seconds are remaining.
And now we tick down Reunited. They're looking to book their trip to Atlanta. Ninjas in Pajamas have 20 seconds now to get onto the point and hopefully kill off Reunited in the process and to live and fight another day. That's going to be very difficult as well with the time back, but they have to try. 10 seconds remaining. Everybody is collapsing onto the point right now. Reunited are looking for those picks. Kib gets off early. That's a good start, actually, from Zappas on McCree up above. And here comes Rana charging in with the nano boost as well. 2 kills going the way of Ninjas in Pajamas, but Reunited need to hold on a little while longer. Excellent pickoff on Unfixed. Can they actually cap here?
Right now it's looking better, but remember, the defense will be able to respawn relatively quickly here. Reunited has had better defenses coming in from this situation, so it's not one at all yet from NIP. Kib is still around, buying some time. The capture point is almost there, but Reunited is reinforcing this. NIP is starting to get picked down. Kib looking for 1 or 2 more pickoffs, will be fighting into the Transcendence, so NIP truly fighting for their lives right now, and if Reunited is able to flush them out right here, they will be going to Atlanta.
And a double Transcendence coming out as basically a truce on the point for a little while, but as they continue to trade, Reunited will be able to reinforce their position a little bit stronger. Himsy is doing everything he can to keep the hopes, keep the dreams alive. Pulse Bomb going off onto Reinhardt as well. He goes down. That's overtime gone, and Reunited will make it to the Overwatch Open Finals in Atlanta.
Yeah, and I mean, I think really the biggest tale about that entire game was that NIP, they have a really good strategy in the sense that they can run the triple tank, triple support, and it catches many teams off guard, especially teams that aren't in the top tier. But when they have their backs against the wall against a truly high-tier team like Reunited, and they do feel like we need to switch things up, they don't have the great power to do that because it just seems like they've invested so much time into this one niche strategy that if they do have to swap up, it does just seem like they take a big hit in their overall performance.
And when, of course, they do that, then they play into Reunited's rulebook where they're able to play the team comps that they're used to scrimming against all day long. And you saw what the results of that were. But joining us on the desk to discuss exactly what happened there, we have Fish Sticks and Seltzer.
Hey everybody, good to be back with you all. That was an exciting last match on Hanamura because they kept getting so close. It was flashing contested. There was barely anything left on that ring, and they just couldn't make it happen. So Ben, break it down for us as why Reunited came out on top here and why NIP couldn't squeak through.
Well, there was actually a split moment where NIP was moments away from getting the point much earlier on, about at the 6-minute mark. There were maybe 5 minutes. They were close to setting a time very similar to what Reunited set, but Kib came from behind, made a miracle happen with his Reaper play, getting 3 or 4 kills with a single ultimate, keeping that going for his team. Very nice stuff there, but when you looked at REUNITED's attack, you see this a lot on Hanamura. If you're able to steamroll through that first point, have a huge ultimate advantage for the second point, then it can be so difficult on defense to hold on once you have just a flurry of ultimates coming out from attack, and that's exactly what we saw at a REUNITED. They were able to just combo, make it happen.
Yeah, and sort of like going more to the sort of composition thing that we saw in the game. I don't know what you thought here, Ben, going in, but I think the one very key weakness, practice stuff aside, about the triple support, triple tank comp is that all your explosiveness is directly related to Roadhog. Other than that, you don't have sort of the crazy, this person can suddenly explode, this person can suddenly take out 2 people, which a lot of top teams benefit from, where you look at REUNITED. Sometimes Kib goes off, sometimes Voltaja goes off. They were relegated to waiting for Himsy to get that. And Roadhog, just by nature of his character, is easier to sort of deal with and go, okay, Roadhog's here. If no one dies to this Roadhog, we're not going to have to worry about anything out of the norm for this fight.
Yeah, and if you looked at how REUNITED did build their team composition, they were frequently actually running against this 3 support, 3 tank comp with only 1 tank. They were playing with just a solo Winston on the first point. Actually, on both maps, they did bring out this solo Winston as their only tank strategy, and I think that made a lot of sense because exactly what you're saying, ZP, if they're able to take Roadhog out of the conversation early, there's really not that much left for NIP, as they really relied on getting that early hook, that early pick. Otherwise, without that, kind of shafted.
I think one of those key areas where you want to be able to get some sort of explosiveness to maybe make up for that as well is if you have a nano boosted Reinhardt sort of coming into the fray. But especially on the second point on Hanamura, you go, you rush in as Reinhardt and you go, oh, everyone's on ledges around me. This is actually going to be rather difficult. You want to be in a position, right, where you can actually have that team fight on the ground. And REUNITED can choose, like with Diva plays and stuff like that, they can choose not to let that happen. How can Ninjas in Pajamas really improve on that? It's very difficult if you're stuck in the middle.
Well, I'll say this much. The nano-boosted Reinhardt, I've really not been that impressed with it in comp in general. I mean, there are points where what the upside for the nano-boosted Reinhardt is that you run in and you really create a lot of space, and then usually, hopefully, you have people come in from the flank or do something to take advantage of that. But
sure,
it's sort of self-defeating in triple support, triple tank, where if you do nano boost a Reinhardt, you don't have a Tracer or a Genji in the back to make advantage of all, or take advantage of all the space that you're creating. So I don't think it's actually the greatest setup there in that regards when it comes to nano boost and Reinhardt interactions.
All right, well, going back to Gibraltar now, that was the map that ZP you were expecting to see. Did it play out exactly the way you thought?
Going into it, I mean, it played somewhat for sure. Certainly when we got to the hangar phase, Roadhog was not working, and they had to swap it off. So, and luckily for NIP, they were able to get through there. So the swap for NIP worked out well for a while. It's just they wasted so much time trying to go 3 support, 3 tank in the hangar phase that minutes bled away, and in the end, they just didn't have enough time to actually win. But that's definitely what I thought going in that we would sort of see, especially just talking with players beforehand and going, yeah, really high verticality maps, this is a problem for this comp, and we saw why in the cast.
Actually, on NIP for both attack and defense, they were pretty stalwart in sticking with the strategy that we've seen them playing for weeks on end, except for in that hangar phase. That's when they switched things up. Yeah. That's when they brought the Reaper out, able to teleport up to the top of the hangar, up on top of the shuttle, get those types of angles going. And on defense, it actually did end up working out for NIP when they made that switch. They did it pretty well, and they held REUNITED in the hangar phase. And ultimately, in the end, on Gibraltar, it was only a matter of about 40 to 45 seconds between these two teams' times. So NIP, really nice stuff. Great to see them coming out of the gate swinging, especially against a team the quality and the caliber of REUNITED. Speaking of quality and caliber.
Well, let's take a look at that excellent match of the game, Fish Sticks, and see the quality and caliber in action. Do we have any thoughts on who this might be?
Certainly Kib had his moments.
Yeah.
Himsy still had moments with great hooks. Hard to say. It could be anything. There was no super, super gigantic play.
Maybe
But there was a
Kib?
lot of really good quality plays all throughout.
All right, and this could end up being right on the end of the point here. Kib coming up. Yeah, he's just about to get his Death Blossom, and that the Earth Shadow. You were talking about that during the cast, allowing Kib to basically be set up like this. Nice to see it from that other angle as well, and he picks up a 4K. That was really, really good stuff from them.
Yeah, and that again is a case there where it's easy to go, oh, the Reaper dropped down, had a good moment. Well, he was set up perfectly by Winghaven for that, and even though people are still getting up, but still they were clumped in. It bought enough time for Kib to go in over the top and convert.
And I want to talk about, what an incredible player Kib is. We see a lot of these players, getting involved in the community, finding teams different ways, talking in the Discord or talking on Twitch and showcasing their games. Kib was found by his team on the ladder. They reached out to the highest ranked DPS and they brought him in, and he's worked out phenomenal. So have you guys had a chance to talk with Kib and talk with REUNITED about how they've come together?
I mean, I think honestly you're going to expect this to happen more and more and more as time goes on. Obviously, in a tournament is when you're really going to shine, really going to show your mettle. But with this competitive ladder format, I think you're going to just see this more and more over time. And they found such a great player in Kib, and obviously Too Easy still playing like a monster for his team. So you know, he was a great pick. He was a great player for REUNITED in previous eras for the team, but Kib has stepped up. I mean, he's arguably one of the best Genjis in Europe, maybe the world, maybe top 3, but he's also got, of course, we saw a little bit of Tracer action from him. We saw Reaper as well.
Yeah, and one thing I note for Kib, and sort of credit to REUNITED here, is that Kib was a project for REUNITED. They didn't just add him to his team and then suddenly, oh, they're doing really well. There were some weeks where Kib looked very questionable, but REUNITED, we talked to them, and REUNITED said, okay, well, we wanted to believe in him. We worked on his flaws because I think I've mentioned it, but there are points when we first saw Kib where he didn't have the greatest ult sense. And that's something you only really get by playing comp, but they said, we see the raw potential in here. They sort of polished it, and REUNITED for having faith in Kib has definitely been rewarded in the last few weeks.
All right, well, for a little more insight into REUNITED and how their team works, we've got Mort on the phone. Mort, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I mean, a bit too close for comfort in my opinion, but yeah.
When was your heart beating fastest during that matchup?
I guess on Gibraltar in the last stage when we were attacking, I was really afraid that they would stall for, I think we had like 30 seconds left or something. And then Anfix did the Zarya ult, and we only had to kill the Reaper, and then I knew it was in the back basically, that map at least.
So Mort, you guys actually playing against this 3 support and 3 tank composition, you actually brought out an interesting 3 DPS, 1 tank, and often Winston. It worked out most of the time, but can you just talk about this composition as a response?
Yeah, so we knew that they would start running this lineup, and we have more teams in EU who started doing it this week, so we actually did get some practice in against it, and I don't know, we just theory crafted a bit about what would be strong and what would be weak, and we just thought we would throw in like a Tracer to go for the backline and stuff, and like on the 2 CP maps, I don't think it's that good, because the maps are too open to actually have like a big effect with Ana ulted Reinhardt, so I think we felt pretty confident on the 2 CP maps.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that the comp that NIP is running, that other teams might be looking at now too, do you think it's a trap in the end? Because it seems like it's one of those compositions where against more unorganized teams, it'll really just stomp them. But it's had real struggles going against the top tier teams where even though it did have some decent success for a while on Gibraltar, despite that map not even being that favorable, you think about how it worked for NIP over the course of that match. Anytime they felt like they had the switch and play standard, it felt like they were playing much more in the Euro game because you guys have way more experience playing standard. Where do you think the actual longevity is for the strategy? Is it a trap? Is it just a switch up? I certainly don't think it seems to be something that you want to be running as much as NIP is, though.
No, I don't think it's like good like on the complete map, but I can see it getting pulled out a lot on like first stages because it's pretty much a secure win. And I actually do believe that with the next patch, with nerfs coming a bit to Zen and stuff, you're gonna be seeing a lot of Ana and a lot of this threat, only probably not with 3 tanks, because I think people will still just stick to the McCree and just DPSs in general and just throw the ult on Reinhardt.
Well, you guys, of course, you've now booked your trip to Atlanta, and we are, of course, well, we don't know for sure yet, but we might have another patch between now and when you guys play at the end of September. Do you foresee that potentially shaking things up, or are we going to expect to see the same names rise to the top? Is there anyone in particular you're looking out for, thinking, actually, these guys could end up being a dark horse?
I think the better teams will still stay really good. But I do believe this patch will change a lot, and it might actually change the pyramid a bit. Mostly because it's like the DPS heavy Genji teams. I mean, maybe we will even struggle because Kip can't Genji anymore, or not as well at least. So I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, we shall see as that moves forward. You know what? We can't predict the patch, but we can predict how you guys are going to prepare for this tournament at the end of September. Do you think you'll be getting together, heading to America a little early, boot camping, practicing?
That is the plan at the moment, yeah. So
Fantastic.
Beat the jet lag.
All right, and as you guys have, you got together and saw each other in person at Overwatch Atlantic Showdown last week. You're planning to get together this time. I mean, what are you most looking forward to when the team gets together? What can you do in person that you can't do online?
I don't know. It's like at boot camp. It feels way more serious, and you're just forced to play and forced to do tactics. And well, it's not like it's like forced, like it's not a fun thing to do, but it's way easier. You can even sit in the circle. You don't even need to have the game open. It just works. It's faster and it's more efficient.
All right. Well, it sounds like you guys have a great plan, and we can see from the games today that you've got a great team. So congratulations once again, Mort. Congratulations, Reunited. You'll be moving onwards. Our next team matchup is actually going to be our losers bracket matchup after this. So let's take a quick look at the bracket and see how everything is going to play out. We had Reunited and B-Fly start things off today. Reunited, of course, moving forward to face the winner of NIP and Bringos, and then moving all the way to the ELEAGUE Arena at the end of the month in September. Now we have to watch the match between B-Fly and Bringos. Guys, this is going to be interesting here. Who of these two teams are we looking at to come out ahead?
Well, I would say Bringos. You have to give them at least some credit because Bringos, for those who don't know, they have a long and storied history. They, of course, were known as the Gringos for a very long time. They played in basically every Open Cup imaginable. They had the biggest work ethic of anyone in the scene, I would say. Like, they just played in everything, no matter what. They got picked up by Northern Gaming, ended up becoming Northern Gaming Blue. Then they parted ways. Now they sort of mixed the team names. Now they're simply the Bringos. So for them, I think they do have the experience on their side. They have had some very big ups and downs, and B-Fly wasn't playing that terrible earlier, so B-Fly could still win, but I still kind of want to give the experience edge to Bringos.
All right, well, that remains to be seen right after this break. We'll be back soon.